My name is Rivky Weiss, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker in Brooklyn. Our topic for this live tonight is going to be on loneliness. So, whether it's you're unhappy with the amount of likes you got on your latest Instagram post, or you just have the sense that no one really gets you, or you don't feel seen, then you've experienced loneliness. Loneliness is ironically universal. If we have to explain loneliness in one sentence, then it's a discrepancy with the relationships you have and the depth of the relationships you want to have. So it's basically seeing what you have and wanting something more. Loneliness does not have to be alone. You can be lonely surrounded in a crowd of people. Loneliness is when you're not satisfied with whatever you have in the moment, your relationships, the way people understand you. The upside of loneliness is that it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a sign that you want more and you need more. And there are steps you can take to get that. But majority of the time when you feel lonely, you're not exactly grateful for the feeling. But it can be helpful if you can possibly try to recognize that it's a message. It's actually telling you something. Having lots of friends doesn't mean that you can't be lonely. Having a lot of contacts in your phone or a lot of social media followers doesn't mean that a person can't be lonely. In fact, you can actually be lonely in a crowd. Some people feel loneliest when they're surrounded with other people. The main difference from being lonely and being alone is about emotional attachment. Feeling lonely is a feeling. Being alone is a state of being. We're going to talk a little bit about loneliness and what it is, what it means, and ways that you can try to be happy being alone. So what is loneliness? There are a couple of different kinds of things that are symptoms of loneliness. You feel sad, empty, alone, especially in a crowd. You have difficulty connecting with others on a deep level. You don't have many close family members or friends. You avoid social activities or withdraw from others. You have trouble sleeping or concentrating. You feel stressed or anxious. You lost interest in activities you used to enjoy. You feel tired all the time. You have headaches, stomach aches, or other pain in your body. So this is what loneliness is. Majority of people have experienced loneliness at some point in their life, and it happens to everyone. So if somebody recognizes that they're feeling lonely, what can they do about it? So we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that you can help yourself when you're feeling lonely. One of the things you can do is try to open up to people that you know. This can be to an existing friend, family, someone you trust, someone you look up to. Sometimes it's hard to tell someone in person that you're feeling lonely. Sometimes it's hard to find the words. You can text someone, reach out on social media, write an email. It can be difficult at first, especially if you've never done anything like that. But reaching out to someone that you trust and someone you believe will understand what you're saying can be helpful. And chances are that that person has also experienced loneliness and will understand how you're feeling, and you'll feel connected with that. Another thing to remember is to take it slow. Whatever changes you're making, you're not going to feel immediate difference in your life. Whether you're trying to make new friends or doing some of the other things that we're going to talk about shortly, it takes time. Be patient. Another important thing that you can do to make yourself feel less lonely is to try not to compare yourself with others. We see snapshots of people's lives on social media, on pictures they send around, or even on stories they tell us, but we don't see everything. We all know that you go on Instagram and you see pictures of parties, of weddings, of vacations, that everyone knows it's not real life. But we're all human, and we still compare ourselves, and we still feel like we have less. So when someone is feeling lonely, it's important to try not to compare yourself to others and just focus on yourself. Things aren't always as they seem on the outside. Another important thing is to look after yourself. Self-care, whatever that means for you, whatever makes you feel cared for. Everybody has something else that when they do, they feel like they practice self-care, they feel like they took care of themselves. When we're feeling lonely and we're feeling down, it's especially hard to do the things that make us feel better. But that's when it's most important. Another thing that you can do is turn your loneliness into solitude. And even though they might sound like they have the same definition, solitude is a choice. Solitude is being happy with the situation you're in. And some of the ways you can do that is do something that is done alone. Learn a hobby, try a new recipe, try something new. Discover things about yourself. Sometimes people, we all do the same things. We know what we like, we know what foods we like, we know what things we enjoy doing, that we get stuck and we never try new things. Figuring out what you like can turn your loneliness into solitude. Maybe it's something you've always wanted to do, a class you always said you wanted to take, a hobby you always said, one day I'll do that. Try it. Another important thing to remember, and it's going to sound weird, but it's don't busy yourself. And what I mean by that is sometimes when people are feeling lonely, they fill their life with busyness. They work extra hours, they take on extra jobs, they try to keep themselves so busy that they're never alone in their house, or that they never really feel their loneliness. And it helps for the moment, but for the most part, afterwards, you end up feeling worse. You end up feeling more disconnected with yourself, because essentially loneliness is a disconnect with the relationship with yourself. This is for people who live alone, and that is to don't shut themselves off from the world. Open your windows, say hello to your neighbors, try to have an outdoor seating area, invite guests in. It's reaching out to the people that live around you. Saying hello to the same people that you pass every day can help you feel less lonely. Another important aspect of loneliness is often related to low self-esteem and low confidence. And in order to improve loneliness, we need to work on the relationship with ourselves. So finding ways that we can work on our self-esteem and on our confidence and on our own, basically becoming your own friends with yourself will make you feel less lonely. This is also for the people that live alone, is to do things that you can only do when you live alone. Maybe you like to have the lights open when you sleep, have loud music at night, eat ice cream out of the container, drink orange juice straight from the bottle. Whatever it is that you can do when no one is watching, do that. Try new things. It's hard to feel lonely when you're trying something new. And this might feel temporary. And it might feel like, okay, just for now, like in those few weeks while I'm learning how to do pottery, or I'm learning how to bake sourdough bread, or something like that. Yes, it is a temporary solution, but it works. Sometimes we just need that push to get ourselves out of that rut. I see somebody wrote in the comments that they start feeling lonely again when they're done with a course or with their hobby. And yes, like I'm saying, sometimes it is a temporary solution. And that's where it comes in to become friends with yourself, to work on the relationship with yourself. Because if you're friends with yourself, you're never alone. If you're comfortable being with yourself and with your presence, then you don't feel alone. Which brings us to our next thing, which is reconnecting to self-love and to appreciation. Is you have to be your own best friend and finding places that are meaningful to you, finding things that are sometimes spirituality is helpful, and sometimes meditating is helpful. For anyone who has never tried meditating and would like to try, the simplest introduction to meditation is to simply take 3 minutes. You can set a timer and think about something you find pleasant. The ocean, mountains, dolphins, anything, whatever you find pleasant. Another thing you can think about is things you're grateful for, which sometimes helps bring you out of a negative thought process. So just getting more in touch with yourself can be helpful. Then there's a couple of things that you can do to fill your time in a meaningful way. Things like physical exercise, mindfulness, yoga, hobbies, baking, reading are all activities that someone can do when they're when they're alone and can still make them feel happy. When you feel lonely, maybe it's a sign to do something. Make a puzzle, go for a walk. Maybe it's a sign to reach out to a friend. Feeling lonely and being alone are two different things. Feeling lonely is a feeling that comes, and it's a message. It's a sign that you need to do something if you'd like to stop feeling that way. So some of the ways to feel less lonely and increase happiness include volunteering. Well, if somebody enjoys volunteering, it can be really gratifying, and there's opportunities to volunteer in every community, many different things someone can do. Develop a healthy relationship with yourself, as we mentioned. Learning something new. Learning something new can expand your horizon, sometimes put you in touch with other people, and also gratifying. Spend time in nature. Nature is very connecting. Some people find they feel especially connected to water or to greenery like trees, grass, trying to find, even though we live in a city, there's parks, there's water, there's beaches, there's nature everywhere. Just trying to find that place and having fun and finding a place that helps you connect to yourself can be very meaningful and bring a lot of joy and make you feel less alone and less lonely, and be okay with yourself. Practicing gratitude can also be very helpful, which is, as we discussed, whether it's journaling with meditation or just finding things throughout the day that make you feel grateful. Taking a break from social media can be helpful. Many people, there are some articles about this. I don't know what the studies are and what the numbers are, but there is a lot of people that believe that the current generation is the loneliest generation that's ever been. People are not interacting with each other, and watching other people's social media, TikTok videos and things like that is making us feel lonelier than we've ever felt before. Taking a break from social media can also help you connect more with yourself. Take yourself out on a date. Solo dating, traveling alone, experiencing a museum by yourself, a place you've always wanted to go but never had somebody to go with. You can go with yourself. Whether it's a concert, a show, anything. Go out with yourself and enjoy your own company. Meditate. As we said before, meditation is extremely helpful. Some people find that adopting a pet or somebody to care for can be helpful. Finding ways to give back to the community, helping people less fortunate, collecting money, collecting time, praying for others, whatever that looks like, giving back to other people can also help you feel fulfilled and less alone. A question that people often wonder is, when is it time to get help? When is loneliness an issue? And of course, everyone has to decide that for themselves and see for themselves. But if loneliness persists and brings on feelings of depression or anxiety, and you've tried a lot of these things and none of them seem to be working, then that might be time that you can reach out for help with a professional. That is all for tonight. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.